Hello everyone and welcome back to the Base Bros. It's been a while and we've been cooking up a new batch of videos for you guys.
Today we'll be talking about the state of new MOBAs in 2024, specifically how each is out of touch with what gamers actually want.
Now, albeit we haven't played all MOBAs, or hell, even the most popular, that being Dota 2 or League of Legends. Now, nothing against Dota 2, but for some context, we have found League shallow and pedantic, and that it insists upon itself.
Jokes aside, grab some popcorn, get your serious hat on, and sit back as the bros once again sprig about the state of modern gaming and the downfall of the hobby.
We'll start off with the least known game out of the three that we'll be talking about today. Gigantic is, or depending on how you see it, rather was, a third-person MOBA that was initially released back in 2017. Now that was full release. They opened the beta up back in 2015.
It was a game that tried to break the mold of hero shooters and MOBAs, featuring a fluid and dynamic battlefield with a complex movement system.
However, the first go-around for Gigantic was plagued with funding issues. Considering it was free to play with no microtransactions within the game, it made it nearly impossible for the devs, Motiga, to make money off the game, eventually leading to their studio being bought out by Perfect World.
Only 7 months after the first full release, it was announced that all new content development was ceased and that the servers would be eventually shut down. And so, on July 31st, 2018, Gigantic servers shut down for the first time.
However, in February 2024, it was announced that Gigantic would be re-released by Gearbox Publishing with Abstraction Games handling development.
Titled Gigantic Rampage Edition, what once was a free-to-play game nearly 7 years ago in the era of Xbox One would be re-released as a $20 title in the modern gaming market.
Regardless, old fans of the game were excited for the re-release, yet on arrival the game was plagued with game-breaking bugs that made it impossible to get into a match, missing promised new features such as ranked mode, and what new content there was, had been rebranded modes or unreleased content from back before the game was shut down in 2018. I think of the new content that they actually had, they promised the ranked mode. They had a casual mode called Rush, and they added 2 new characters who were old content from, like I said before the game was shut down initially, and same with the map they added was also from old content that the original Motiga devs had created. All they did was, kind of finish it up and then push it with this new release.
And that's without mentioning the issues with the gameplay itself, which, to keep it short, there were more than a few.
It was easy to look back and remember 2017 Gigantic fondly, but after the re-release, its issues were impossible to ignore. The UI was cluttered, visual noise was beyond discernible, and the game lacked objective-based gameplay loops you'd normally find in MOBAs, with every match devolving into a bloated, ring-around-the-rosy DM fest.
With all the aforementioned leading to Gigantic's unceremonious, I put it at that, second death. Now listen to this, for all you out there who are obsessed with player numbers and Steam charts, with less than 10 peak players per game on the Steam platform alone. Now this game, Allan, was also released on Epic Games, correct?
Epic Games, Arc Games, and I believe you can play it on PlayStation 5, maybe PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X, and Xbox One. So the players are more than what it shows on Steam, but Steam is kind of the best the best metric that we can actually see how many players there are. But you were saying that was peak. That doesn't always mean at any given moment. At any given moment, it's probably less than that at most times during the day. And I think as of right now, as we're recording this, it has 0 players right now on Steam. No one on Steam is playing this game.
It's a shame. It's a Sunday where we're at, evening time.
Yeah.
People should be playing this game, and just no one is.
Not to mention, it's been completely abandoned by the devs only 5 months after release. You can't even get into a match due to game-breaking bugs and server errors that they haven't fixed. These errors have just popped up in the last few months, and they've done nothing to fix it. They aren't even performing simple maintenance patches to ensure the handful of players that there are can even enjoy the game as it is now. I think about 2 days ago, I sat for 1 hour trying to get into a match to provide proper PvP B-roll for you guys with no luck. I would sit for about 20 minutes, and then it would say there's a match. I would accept my match. It would go into the champion selection screen, and I'd ready up, and then it would boot me out. It would say there's either an issue with anti-cheat authorization, authentication, or it says that a player failed to accept the match. So there goes an hour of my time not even being able to play the game.
Plain and simple, Gigantic was a cash grab. It was Gearbox, already notorious developer for those of you who don't know, other than for putting out Borderlands inconsistently over the past decade. They've been known to buy up studios and IPs and do lazy ports of them, especially on PC. It was Gearbox putting out a lazy re-release to cash in on the flavor of the month cycle that gamers have been conditioned to buy into. It is incredibly sad to see a game that had potential to carve out its own niche in the MOBA market blatantly used to make a few bucks off of an acquired IP they had in storage. Both of us are lifelong gamers, and to see the memory and work of a hidden gem of the past resurrected and then brutally massacred in front of us is now becoming the norm, rather than a disreputable headline you read in gaming news every couple weeks. Now we move on to the second game, Smite, or now it's going to be known as Smite 2. Smite was the bad boy of the MOBA genre, the third-person, religion-based warfare simulator that you don't have to die in the Middle East for. Coming in behind LoL and Dota, Smite has carved out its own niche for MOBA gamers over the past decade that has gone relatively unmarred by controversy, except for Hi-Rez Studios' questionable taste in women.
And after 10 years, the developers have decided to move to Smite 2, a graphical upgrade to Smite, a la CSGO to CS2 treatment. Now, our issue here isn't the updating of the game to a new engine. It's the downright greedy way the developers are transitioning to Smite 2.
A lot has changed for the worse in the past decade in terms of developers making off money of free games. What used to be premium currency for cosmetics and free-to-play MMOs and free-to-play shooters, or even low-price games, think Counter-Strike Global Offensive, it used to cost $15, $20, has spiraled into a dystopian caricature of in-game ads for these skins, pop-ups for these skins everywhere you go, multi-payment skin events that have multiple tiers that are not on the Battle Pass, that are not able to be bought normally, but you have to buy multiple skins to get the super special skin. This is mostly in Smite. This is a terrible practice they have currently in the game. And our biggest one, non-persistent inventories between multiple game releases, especially in the modern day where developers are creating clients for their game releases across multiple iterations of their games that all share mechanics and this whole live service model.
The last one is the biggest. A prime example of this kind of conduct in the market is the rats at Activision, who have made a huge profit off of taking away paid player skins across each iteration of Call of Duty, starting from Modern Warfare 2019, making players pay again and again. Same like EA, who have also been doing this for years with their gambling-centric FIFA and Madden series that has the lowest IQ of consumers and gamers, not only buying full-price games year after year, but gambling millions to get their favorite sports ball player.
Now, Smite has taken a note from these developers, and before Smite 2 comes out, have essentially told players with decades worth of inventory, fuck you. Essentially, 100% of the existing skin base will not be in Smite 2, with only the new purchasable quote-unquote cross-gen skins being implemented into the second game. Now, I, as a gamer for Smite, I love Smite. I've been playing Smite for almost a decade at this point. I've put in maybe, $100, say $100 into the game. Now, compared to others who've spent thousands, you don't think that's too much. But it is. That's hard-earned money, and Smite 2 isn't really a new release. It's basically just Smite with a new graphical engine. So what's the excuse for them not to port in your inventory and you get the skins that you want? Counter-Strike was able to do it. Smite 2 and Hi-Rez already make millions of dollars off of the game. Who knows how long it will take them to ever include all of the old skins, or if they even have plans to include them. Who knows? They could just do new skins for the rest of the game life, and you won't even get all your cool $20 skins you paid for in the past.
Like Doug was saying, decent industry examples like Counter-Strike 2 allowed players to keep their skin inventory to the new game. Smite developers have opened your mouth and taken a fat crap down it, and the only reason why this hasn't been seen by the general public is because the game is smaller than League and other competitors.
And let's be honest, it's Pavlovian conditioning by these companies that have let them get away with such practices. For those who love Smite and want to continue playing, the developers pose this question: what are you going to do? Stop playing? To which many gamers will defer to the shitty market practice to keep playing the game that they love.
This cheapens the experience, plain and simple. It makes the game a product rather than a game with consumer-friendly practice. And when enough people buy into this practice, which they always do, then that allows companies to continue to push the edge.
The next issue is their alpha/beta buy-in for a minimum of $30. How far has gaming fallen that we are doing alpha/beta buy-ins in the year 2024 for a game that makes millions of dollars? Instead of just releasing the alpha and beta with supporter packs like many other games do, they have the balls to make you pay for it. This could have been a great opportunity to expose Smite to the Twitch-addled Zoomers and Aumers of the new gaming generation and get their flavor of the month player and interest boost. Instead, it looks like Smite 2 is only appealing to its current people who have bought in. But not really, because those who have bought in for the last decade, who have invested time into the game, just had their money burned right in front of them. If that's not disrespect, I don't know what it is.
Now, Smite 2 will be free on launch, but with all issues plaguing modern releases, we doubt it will be in a playable state for a few days or maybe even weeks. It's a toss-up on if the game will survive this transition to the new era. Will it keep its limelight, or will it finally die? Besides the point, we've highlighted this game as a MOBA, that it is promoting bad consumer practice and potentially killing yet another beloved game due to greed.
Now, we're going to move on to our third game, and I'm going to set close your eyes, open your mind palace, unless, your mind palace has been ruined by gallons of G Fuel. But now listen, just close your eyes. The year is 2024. Valve, a legendary developer, has not released a major non-experimental game since 2018. Gamers have only heard whispers on the wind of new projects at the studio. Left 4 Dead 3, Team Fortress 3, Half-Life 3, what could be next?
And then the whispers grew into voices saying, Neon Prime. And the hype began to build. It was on a summer day when gameplay from this new project, Deadlock, was revealed, and shortly after, a closed beta was released.
When players were expecting a full-course meal from Valve, ready to satiate their hunger on a game that could provide thousands of hours of excitement like all of their previous titles, we were handed a fat turd on a plate covered in MSG.
Besides the dramatics, Deadlock isn't as bad as a turd on a plate, but it really fits the definition of mediocrity better than any game Doug or I have ever played.
It feels as if the devs thought they could smush together as many gameplay mechanics that it would result in a more fun and in-depth experience. Is it Team Fortress 2? Is it Smite? Is it Overwatch? Counter-Strike? What about For Honor? What are they trying to do here? What's Deadlock trying to show gamers?
It's almost like a child trying to put all their favorite snacks in a blender to make a slurry of candy bars, pizzas, soda, and ice cream. Just because it has more in it, mechanics-wise, doesn't mean it's good.
Now, Allan and I are going to both give our long and belated opinions on the game. I'll be going first. Now, when I first booted up the game and checked out the heroes, I immediately let out a sigh and rubbed the bridge of my nose. Wait, seriously? Overwatch heroes? We're doing this again? I then booted into a practice match, met with confusing abilities only offset by a decent movement system and aiming. Okay, sure, that's fine. Something felt off. I kept thinking to myself, did these guys actually just release an Overwatch clone 10 years after Overwatch was popular? What were they thinking? My heart raced as I fought against these evil thoughts, but the more I played, the more I realized it was true. For these types of games to be successful, they must offer an incredibly rewarding and engaging loop. Overwatch succeeded because it implemented these fundamental ideas in an easy-to-engage manner. Deadlock offers nothing of the sort. As a veteran gamer, I love figuring out game systems on my own, and it feels even better when these systems complement common gaming design language across a genre. But Deadlock? The abilities, just like Gigantic, are confusing for most characters, and when I choose Buff Police Guy, I expect some generic Buff Guy abilities, but instead, I got a confusing mess of crowd control and single target damage? I continued to try out character after character, and nothing felt right. Nothing felt rewarding, and at the end of the day, I sat down and I thought to myself, is this really a Valve game? I can appreciate the subversion of gameplay tropes, but when you mix in the generic turret character and generic shield character, what's even the point of subverting those tropes in the first place? The worst feeling out of all of this was disappointment. Disappointment in Valve and their adherence to the near-dead genre of hero shooters, which, okay, let's be honest, Overwatch was only popular because SFM, Rule 34, D.Va gets ganked by 4 Doomfist. Valve has always been a company that represents the best gaming has to offer, tight and honed experiences that push the envelope with their distinct Valve flair. Deadlock is not this. Deadlock is boring, it's trite, unoriginal, and yet another bargain bin gaming experience that's going to be flavor of the month that will take half a decade to come into its own. Valve is supposed to be better than this.
For every gameplay mechanic I can think of, there's another title that provides a superior gameplay loop for said mechanic when you compare it to Deadlock. Want a more cohesive MOBA experience? Go to Smite or Dota or League. Want rigid gunplay and spray mechanics? Go to Counter-Strike. Want a better battle arena with customizable upgrades and loadouts? Go to TF2. It almost seems like Valve is so completely out of touch with what their fans and the games market yearns for. I find it hard to even think of a demographic of folks this game is specifically made for. Why would hardcore fans of Team Fortress 2, Counter-Strike, Dota, Smite, or as much as it pains me to say, Overwatch, have any reason to commit their time to a game like Deadlock when the experience they are looking for is already satiated? What, so they can play something that does it worse and has a bunch of other bloated gameplay mechanics thrown in?
Deadlock represents not only the current trend of recycled gaming mediocrity, but also boastful pride from Valve. What more is there to be said other than, just a sad shake of the head?
We hope you guys enjoyed another rant from us, but also had the time to listen to an opinion outside of the gaming norm. While it is fun to be negative, we genuinely want to see games succeed. We love and care for the hobby of gaming, and seeing it fall like this is simply saddening.
The MOBA genre will continue to stay strong as long as League and Dota will never truly die. But as fans of the alternative, and in our quest to find fun games to play, being treated like pay pigs by companies is not what gaming is about. We hope that Smite 2 and Deadlock don't flounder, but it's a tale as old as time. And we urge you to be smart with your in-game purchases and what you support as a consumer.
As always, this is the Base Bros signing off. Keep on gaming.